Testes, testes. 1, 2, 3. Hey, William.
How you doing?
Better and better. Thank you for asking.
Cool. Where are you launching to, considering your background? When's the countdown starting?
This is like a mobile setup for me. I'm not at home, not in my studio. So
Okay,
just
no,
testing
that's
the
fine.
waters. Seems to be looking fairly good.
It actually works very well. It's amazing what they do with these algorithms nowadays.
Yeah, man. All you have to do is just get the green screen wrapped around you, basically, and then you're good to go.
Okay.
Some sort
So
of a
you
light.
got a green screen behind you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Works
no wonder
fairly
it's
well.
working so well. Yeah.
How about you? Is this your natural background, or this is a sort of a green screen for you too?
It's an actual vinyl printed.
Widescreen.
No, yeah, it's an actual vinyl. And when I do the leadership work, I drop a black sheet, and then I have and you should see how that looks. Try doing a black background sometimes. What I run then is re-incubate camo, and then I use my iPhone for as the camera. But then I run in black and white, and it really looks kick-ass because now I have a black background, classic grayscale, and there we go. And it really sets a different tone, and it fits in with the program very well.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, it looks great. I mean, it's some experiments with all this technology. We have another member here, James. He does all the crazy things. When he pops on the screen, he has like signature handwritten on the side of his screen, and you know, like a background of his real estate. When he does presentation, the background. Yeah, I can hear you well.
Unfortunately,
background what he does.
What is that
We were
noise?
just discussing
is that white noise? Can you cancel that?
Yeah, this whole thing.
No, I'm giving Daniel a shit now. It's early in the morning.
And you're already cracking jokes.
I have to get back at him for having me up this early, because I did an interview last night and I finished 10 o'clock, and usually after that I'm energetic, and then I had to pour wine just to calm freaking down, and then I did work, and this morning I feel a bit slow. It's amazing how you can't handle alcohol as you get old.
How old are you?
I'm 50.
Okay, nice. Good shape for 50. What's the secret? Decaf?
No, sorry. That's the Antichrist drink. Coffee only. Real caffeine. People are like, can I have decaf? Really? Why? It's like alcohol-free beer.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, welcome
that is
to
the saying
show.
in our country.
What's the saying?
Non-alcohol beer.
Yeah.
Well, welcome to the show. We're working on some editing. We got a little team, so there'll be a little intro, and then we'll cut into you talking, just an intro to you and your story.
Okay.
And clearly, anything related to non-negotiables, even better, but doesn't have to be.
No, we do have a lot of non-negotiables.
We do consider you a negotiator, so
yes. No. It will
be fascinated whenever you're ready to take it.
Of negotiation. Let's see where it goes.
Yeah. So, what's your story?
That's an interesting one. Let's see. It's lockdown. It's the day before lockdown, the first lockdown in South Africa. So we had a harsh one. I don't want to use the term overreaction, but it could be a label that might be applied. And my son and I moved out of the house. We started a new life together. I have custody of my son. Only 4% of men in South Africa get custody of their children. And fresh out of a divorce, lost most of my business because I focused on that instead of building the business. I had one client left, which paid me before the move. So I had money to move, and then I had no cash left. All my speaking business dried up as a result of COVID. And the first day of lockdown, I had to start building a new life and a new business and a new income. And that's quite an interesting thing to negotiate, to say the least.
Yeah, you gotta get the income first and quickly.
Yeah, in a lockdown, when the world went like, hey, we're just gonna switch off for a bit.
So, I mean, we can all hypothesize that you went off to your desk and started working on your resume for about 2 weeks, living off your
Resume,
savings.
What
and
savings?
Went on about 30 job interviews. Till how did it go?
I've been an entrepreneur for 22 years. I am fully unemployable. If I had to get to work and somebody go like, it's 9 o'clock, you're late. No, it might turn into a crime scene. No, you're not gonna. I have a life, work comes second. So once I've done that, we can do the work thing. So the only thing I can do is start something new. And it's the same process that I applied the same thinking and process that I've developed since 2015, because I looked at my life and said, okay, we need to get out of debt and we need to have at least 5 months overheads cash in the bank. Get that done. And I had a 2-year plan to get there. So I started doing stuff, and I reached out and I sent an email to 4,000 people on LinkedIn. And it was a simple email. Life sucks. What are you doing? How can I help you? This is what I'm doing. If you know somebody who can use this and that, please introduce me. And that unlocked business and created stuff. And 7 months later, I overshot my 2-year goal. And since then, my business has just been growing and growing and growing.
Are you still counting on LinkedIn, or we hear a lot of talks that it's really tough to get a conversation going? Anything like it's like a 1% if you're lucky.
I still only rely on LinkedIn to connect. I love networking. As an introvert, I love networking because I start to one side of a room and I just work it right through. I'm fearless on that one. The problem that I see with LinkedIn and not having conversations is that pay close attention to the emails that you send people and also emails you receive. How often does it start with I want this. I need this.
I'm just reaching out.
All the time.
Yeah,
No.
I'm just this. And it's a difficult thing to start a conversation without I, because there is a point of interest. So sometimes I start with a question. Sometimes it irritates me. But ask yourself the following question. If the three of us were at a networking event, how much time would we, the three of us, dedicate to getting to know each other? We'll spend 3-4 minutes, most probably. What do you do? What do you do this? What's your interest? Where are you moving towards? And we'll see if it can go somewhere. But for some reason, when it's electronic and on LinkedIn, we don't have to do that no more. Why do I need to read somebody's profile to know what they're about? And we don't do the groundwork. And I think a lot of the time in negotiations, we don't do the groundwork.
Oh, the prep.
No, you have to do that. One meeting, I read some company reports of 60, 70 pages. So when I sat down in the meeting, yes, I know you're doing this, this is your strategy. This is your goal for the year. And the woman like, well, what did you do? I studied because this is important. You are important. And people can smell it when you're just there like, hey, how you doing? Give me money.
You don't go for the ask right away.
No. Well, sometimes
what can I do first?
I've had a CEO once tell me, please stop. I'm like, you know what? I have a world of respect for you. I'll speak with you in 3 months. Okay. So I just toned it down.
But you're typically starting with, how can I help you? Or what do you need?
I
How do
tried to
you start?
find common ground. You know what? Empathy is a great thing. And when you can find a place to connect, if you see they scuba diving, you're like, wow, tell me about the places you scuba. If they like aviation, hey, tell me about that. If they have kids, whatever the case may be, start with that. But if you can find a business goal, I go like, I see you're busy with this job creation program. I'd like to talk to you about that. And I have some work that I do around that that's been greatly successful up to now. And that brings it down to a choice. One thing I found works very well, because at the age of 50, I'm on the dating game, and that's fun. Very sarcastically stated, I must say. It's an interesting world out there. But I have no issue to talking to anyone without fear. Most guys, when they approach a woman, they're like, oh, I don't know, and they stumble. No fear. And how do I do that?
Engage with a no oriented question.
Not at all. No, not at all. As I have no predefined outcome. The typical male response, if they see a beautiful woman, their mind tells them, I want that. Okay. And then they get nervous. I look at her and I go like, I don't want nothing. I'm just going to talk to you. And that really lets a conversation flow. I stood in a shop once to buy milk. 30 minutes later, I walked out the shop. Oh, we were talking. She's a marathon runner. She's a chartered accountant. I shared a lot of information because I didn't go there with an agenda.
Yeah, just small talk.
Yeah. Just, hey, you're a human being. How are you doing today? And find a common thing. Oh, I see you're running. Tell me more about the stuff you run. Yeah.
I had a classmate in college tell me she had a crush on her professor. And I said, what is it about him? She goes, the way he walks, so much confidence, slow, takes his time. It's the body language too. It's we're talking about, it's the persuasion. Are you doing the prep work? Or are you going in there looking all slobby with asparagus in your teeth and hair, or you go in there with confidence?
I agree with you on that one. And for some reason, everybody thinks they should dress like tech billionaires.
I'm going to tell you something horrible I've done in my life.
T-shirts. Yeah, tell me
Eugene,
about that.
You know me, Darth Vader for a reason. These two kids come knocking at our building door. I open up and they're looking like they just maybe going to go play basketball, jeans and the regular shirt. And they said, can we look at your utility bill? I said, man, if you're going to come around doing business, have the decency to wear a dress shirt.
Yes.
And they said, really? You're not going to, want to talk with us because we're not wearing a dress shirt? And I go, yeah, that's right. And I closed the door. I mean, maybe because I was on the white shirt getting ready to put on the dress shirt and I was feeling bitter. Felt like, if I don't have that freedom, you don't. You sure as heck good. What do you wear? What's your day-to-day? Are you Steve Jobs type?
I like to dress up. So I like suits. I want to cut some suits this year. I'm dressed quite warmly this morning.
What time is it again? 4?
It's now 4:45 in the morning.
Oh boy.
And but usually even during lockdown, when I had meetings, my shoes will be shined. I always shine my shoes. Dress shirt on. I love French cuffs. I love cufflinks. And then people ask me, why did you do that? And I said, can you appear confident standing in your flip-flops and tracksuit pants? And they're like, no. I said, well, what makes you think you'll have that in an online meeting then? So dress the part.
Fun fact, Eugene used to be a dating coach.
Really? No wonder you
Really?
have that
Was-
smooth face.
was
Tell
that-
us more
yeah,
about
right.
it then.
Yeah, you used to do all the whole what's that called? Real dynamic. Come on, you know what I'm talking about.
Oh yeah, so yeah,
RDS,
real social
Tyler.
dynamic
Yeah,
in
that
my
matters a
early
lot.
20s.
That matters a lot though, right? How you come off, how you're wearing, persuasion.
Not really, not at all.
Oh, come on. They all had the peacock. That's what they called it when, you have all the,
Yeah, that's the first stages of it. I mean, you want to dress to feel more comfortable, but what these guys are doing, and William, maybe that's going to help you somehow.
Yes.
It's all about your state.
Mm.
Like, how do you feel inside? They might have this first like feeling, what is this guy? He looks kind of weird. But as soon as you come and start opening your mouth and you just feel confident and self-amusing, all the barriers just fall down. And
I agree.
the first thing, like Daniel said, start with no-oriented questions. In this case, as far as I remember, back then we didn't know any of this Black Swan group methodologies or how to use cognitive empathy. It was pretty much labels.
Mm.
I saw you out there. It's going to sound awkward. My name is Eugene. Or start
Oh,
with
my
something
name
like
discount.
pattern therapy. Hey, I'm Eugene and I like salad.
pattern
That's a good
interrupt.
opening. I like
That's
salad.
it. Most of the times it makes them laugh, and laughter is always a good sign.
So
And after that, you just
That's
start a
good.
conversation.
See, I have a different line, and salad is a new one. That's like pilchards and chocolate sauce for dessert. I always go like, so read any good books lately? That's a good starter. And first and foremost, are they reading? Are they intelligent? And they get the cocky answer. Yes, I just finished Nietzsche. Well, I see the milk is on sale. See you 5 minutes later, and he's like, cruise past.
so kind of leading you on what your
Yes.
opinion is there to try to predict how you would behave in the coffee shop scenario, one of the mock negotiations that we do. You would
Mhm.
excel. One of the sure signs of this is going to go bad for the negotiator is, hey, can I get a free cup of coffee? And it's like, hey, you just met. Start building listening, get some empathy, get the report. Maybe they'll offer it to you in exchange. And that has happened. When they go straight for the ask, that'd be like you going up to the girl and saying, getting that
Let's
number
get
right
married.
away.
Yeah.
It's going.
Can I introduce you to my mom? Yeah. Let's go and meet my mother. That would be, maybe I should just do a few of those and see.
Yeah.
That'd be a nice one. That makes me think of something, and I saw some guy selling online marketing and stuff. I'm not a big fan of that, but he said something that really resonates with me, and I think about this on a daily basis when I interact with people. He says, the purpose of sales copy is not so that people understand, but that people feel understood.
Yeah.
And that for me was just boom. Whatever else he sells, I don't really care, but that made sense. And he gave me a lot of value. And I think sometimes during a negotiation of some sort, we're just trying to get people to understand, but it's about making them feel understood. And once a person feels understood, they drop their guard. And then you can have that, and then you can bring your needs and wants into that. But too many times people, I don't know, maybe they watch too many rap videos and think, oh, it's just about money, guns, and it's business is not like in the movies.
I
Have you
think it's
noticed?
the opposite. I think they're the opposite of that go-getter assertive. I think we've been getting softer over the generations to the point where people are not asking. Like that guy who said, kudos to you. I respect you for continuously asking. Kudos to you, because probably no one else is really doing it.
I have to agree with you. Business in the current environment is very easy because if you take a little bit of action, you're like miles ahead of everybody else. People just don't seem to do the work.
Call reluctance comes to mind. How do you overcome
Ooh,
that?
you know,
Hey, I've been at a
um,
place where they just fed me leads, and I've heard it before. It's like they give you the stuff and you just want more of it. It's like, hey, you should get it on your own.
I want to make a nice comparison to learning to fly. And I think it is the process, and it feels like that when you have to do calls and leads and stuff. So I was about 16 when I started doing my pilot's license, but I have motion sickness. So as a qualified pilot, I can fly and vomit at the same time. It's hilarious looking over to your passengers thinking like, oh, we're going to die. But there's only one way to overcome that. And the flight instructor said, well, you're going to fly consistently for 3 days or continuously. So I arrived 6 o'clock at the airfield, swing the propeller, go out, and I have to fly in the general flying area till I get sick. And then I'm allowed to turn back. And that's a 15-minute flight. And then the airfield was positioned next to an abattoir. So if the wind wasn't good, now you're sick, and now you get the downwind from an abattoir as well. Okay. So you go like, oh God, can I just switch this thing off and just get out? I don't feel well. And you do that, and then you feel right again, and you do it again, and you do it again. After 2 days, I could read a book, eat a hamburger, and you could do anything with that plane. And because my balance system became conditioned and used to what's happening
You
in
gotta
the aircraft.
acclimate.
Yes. And I like to compare that story to overcoming that call reluctance, because it feels that way. It feels like hell. If you've ever had motion sickness, you know how it feels like, can I give up on life now? Please stop this. And
Oh, Willem, got a question
through.
for you.
Yes,
That's very interesting about the conditioning, and you have very interesting description on your LinkedIn. I'm sure it captivates, it attracts all of eyes. The human entrepreneur, micro enterprise specialist. Can you talk a little bit about that and how negotiation plays a role in your business?
Thank you very much for that. The human entrepreneur plays in, because we have, if you look at the whole Silicon Valley thing, it's just customers, products, customers. And I go like, excuse me, I'm also here. I'm the guy who started this thing. Can I get something? And it's the way that we design, or we build businesses now, is we treat entrepreneurs like lemmings. If we throw enough of them down this hole, eventually it'll fill up and a few will stand at the top. Let's do that. And I go like, no, let's not do that. Because customers are important. Without your business, without customers, your business won't run. But without the entrepreneur, the human being, it won't exist. So start with a human being first and form a relationship between the business owner, and the customer. It's a co-creational relationship. So I have a human-centric design towards that. When it comes to negotiations in this type of work, it is very difficult, because what we've done in South Africa, because I'm very familiar with the South African environment, is we've taken all the greatest and latest thinking around startups and entrepreneurship, and we simply brought it down and applied it in an African context, and it doesn't work. It simply doesn't work. Yes, on bigger companies, it does work. I agree with that. But for the greatest part, just activating entrepreneurs, it doesn't work, because in the first world environment where you guys are from, it's simple. I'll do the lean startup things,
But
and
the
it'll take a
failure
few
rate,
months. And
the failure rate is,
yeah, but
they say,
that's also not something that I want to make.
yeah.
Bring me back to failure rate. And we have a few months to get that product market fit. Now, in this environment, people don't have resources that lasts them longer than 48 hours. If they don't earn in the next 48 hours, they're out of resources. Now we're
Mhm.
starting to plan. Go like, yeah, it'll take you a few months. Like, dude, I need food. I don't have an income. Yeah, but in 12 months, you might have your first customers. And that doesn't work. So that's the thinking of the whole industry. And it's a multi-billion-dollar industry. And now I'm going, excuse me, let's start with the human first. You know, these unemployed people, let's start with them first. And let's not use that methodology. Yeah, I've developed something that we can help these people to start a business, make money in a matter of days and weeks so that they can financially
So
sustain
how
themselves.
do you do that? How do you promise to
Oh
get
yeah,
some
you
sort of a returns on your investment in terms of time
yeah.
or finances within the next 48 hours?
You know what? Getting back to, it's about taking action. Less talk, more action. And when you take action, you have to talk to people. And so I sit with two situations. Number one, the learned helplessness of most of South African people when it comes to entrepreneurship. And second of all, the industry. The learned helplessness, I don't know if you're familiar with the
Oh
term
yeah,
or if your audience, but let me explain quickly. In the old days, when circuses still had animals,
the
they get a
elephant.
new baby elephant,
Yeah,
they put a pin in the ground, a little rope around its leg, and it can't escape. And they use that same rope when it's a grown adult elephant, where it can lift its leg and leave, but it's learned that it's helpless. Now, South Africans believe that you can't start a business if it's not registered, you don't have a business plan, and you don't have funding. If you don't have those three things, I'm useless. And I'm like, hold my beer. Let me show you this one. So
yeah.
from a negotiations perspective, it's very interesting because now people go like, but everybody says that and you say that. Why? And what I like to do is always approach stuff from a human perspective. And I always relate everything back to a relationship. You know, if you look at the typical startup thinking, when I said, you know, the Silicon Valley thing is about everything, you give everything to the business. And I go, like, no, that's a very bad idea. Imagine, Eugene, you being a dating coach. You know everything about this woman that I want to date, what her likes are, what her needs are, what makes her happy. And I take all of my time, money, and attention to give everything to her, but I never tell her what I want. How would that relationship be? It'll be hell. It's the basis of an abusive relationship. But that's why we have an abusive relationship with our business. Now, when you tell people and show them that they can have a better relationship with a business, one that's reciprocal, one that is healthy, that grows the business as well as you, and how you need to
So
do
William,
that,
I'm sorry,
really
no
makes a
interrupting,
difference.
just to kind of make sure that
Please
we understand. So
stay
it
on
seems to
topic.
me that
Yeah.
you're describing on how to make an offer.
Oh
So
yeah,
if
the whole
you
pitch
if you're
thing.
taking someone and if you're taking someone and saying, you know, you're going to become a micro entrepreneur, you know, micro business person in the next 48 hours, you have to learn how to make an offer. To make an
Yes,
offer, you have to figure out what they need, if there is a need there.
absolutely. Yeah. But before they can make an offer, they have to overcome their own fears. The biggest sale that you'll ever
Yeah.
make is to sell to yourself. Either you can do it or you can't do it. And that brings it back again to empathy. One of the exercises that I get people, before you can make an offer, you have to listen. So I always tell people, when you leave class today and you get home, if your mom, dad, girlfriend, whoever is there,
That's big.
listen to them for 5 minutes. Just listen to them for 5 minutes. And that whole class would go like, yo, what do you mean?
It's the first
Like,
step of behavioral change stairway. Listen.
Yeah, just listen. And it's fascinating what comes of it. And then
Not
people,
listen to respond like I'm doing right now.
yeah. But offers as well, getting back to you, Eugene, sometimes you really don't have to listen all that much to make an offer. A lot of the guys will start a car wash. That's good cash money. Very easy. I said,
Yeah.
walk down the street. If you see a dirty car, Ask, whose car is that? I was like, mine. Cool. You want it washed? And it's simple as that. It's not like, hey, it's make
There's
an
all
offer.
these stigmas around. Like for me, I'm immediately thinking, oh, I'm gonna look like a homeless person.
Mm,
So curious, like I know that, and I might be wrong here and off track.
please.
You know, it's describing to me is hustling. I think that's the American word.
Gary
for
V,
actually,
American. I'm thinking he does it the more fancy way. He'll go to the garage sales, then flip it on eBay. But you got to
Yes.
have a smartphone for that. You got to have the patience to wait for the payout. And what if they
Yes.
want a refund? There's too many risks.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Gosh, it just sounds. I mean, yeah, wash the car, get the money.
But my question to you guys are the following: is there's no difference between that and a guy selling Boeing aircraft.
You know,
There's
we
very
have
little difference
we
between
have a
that.
little special group that we chat, and it's called Tiger Pest. Did you know that a tiger is a pest to a zebra? Like, oh, look at those tigers. Even a
Interesting.
mosquito is a pest to us humans. So we're all
Yes.
like in a scale of pest. It's just like, yeah, like, where do you want to? We're still a pest, whether you're in a fancy suit, door knocking for utility bills, or if you're spraying windshield and wiping, you're still
Well,
pest. I felt pestered that day, you know, and they're probably making good money.
yeah, see, from that perspective,
Yeah.
there's a motto I live by. It doesn't matter what I did or didn't do, I served. And you served them very well. But coming back to your comment about pest, a friend of mine, he's Robert Kiyosaki's head trainer in Africa. And he said to me,
Love
I said,
Robert Kawasaki here.
yeah, and he goes like, how do you network? He says, it's simple, Willem. I talk to people who want to talk to me. And that's simple. And I know always it's not possible in a negotiation because of the dynamics of
That goes
setup.
back
In a
to what you
divorce, I
said.
can't choose. But coming back,
It requires you to remove judgment from yourself in the past and how they're going to see you in the future. And it's getting that present moment, be there as best as possible, prepare as best as possible, and your chances of success go through the roof.
Yeah.
We have a
Well, William
special
said-
guest, by the way. You're going to talk about pitch decks, and this man loves pitch decks. So it'll be fun. Eugene?
Yeah, I mean, William, you mentioned that, you know, and I like to say this too when we go through mock negotiation, is that biggest negotiation of your lifetime is happening here. Now, how do you sell yourself on the offer of doing something that will give you result in the next 48 hours?
Yes.
It's like for maybe first world persons, like, how do I go to gym? Oh, I gotta pump this iron. Oh, it's so much, you know, so much hustle, so much, you know,
Oh, and it's
time
vanity.
and whatnot. Like,
I'm not trying to
I'm gonna
look
be
all,
tired.
yeah.
I'm gonna be sweaty, you know, and all this
It's
kind of thing.
cold.
So
I don't want to get
yeah,
up.
you're convincing yourself
And
not to
doing
do it.
business as well. I mean, there's so many. For me, it's like, oh, a camel has a better chance of getting through a needle than a wealthy businessman. Oh, if I buy low, sell high, that's bad. If I loan my money, that's usury at usury rates, that's bad. There's all these.
But Daniel and Eugene, it's very interesting. South Africa is a very religious country, and
Oh,
the fear
gosh.
that we have around money is
It's real.
tremendous. Tremendous. There's so much fear around money that it just makes it difficult. But and our education system fails it completely as well.
Florida is
But
the first state introducing education and credit score and things like that, by the way.
I saw that they're doing financial literacy
First
training as well now.
state, isn't that wild? Finally, financial literacy.
Absolutely. I mean, most of the kids in my classes, they can't divide 24,000 by 12 and plus their living costs, which is usually like 1,000 to 2,000, using a calculator, giving them 30 minutes. That's the quality of our schooling system. So now you have very limited knowledge of anything, And then he asked people to go and push forward and start a business, breaking through all of these things. There's a lot of sales conversation going on in your head. And Eugene, it's one thing I found that breaks that is once they taste the fruits of their action and they go like, I just made money. This is amazing. I go like, yeah, you can live today. You can eat today. You can buy stuff for your family. You have to understand in South Africa, if you earn $100 per month, you're in the top 40% of salary earners. If you do $500, I'm a 10%er. If I do $1,300, I'm a 1% salary earner in South Africa. Yet, there's a lot of guys driving around in very expensive cars. So the inequality is just massive. So about 60% of the country lives with under $100 a month. And that's a difficult thing. So people have little or no resources. They can't fall back on anything. And that also helps with the negotiation, because you can only push back as far as that. And then, well, the only way now is forward. There's no other choice. And that's sometimes difficult, but just pushing people as well. You always tell people entrepreneurial development is a balancing act between support and abuse, because you have to be hard, like, you need to do this now. There's no other thing. If you don't do this, you're not eating tonight. You're like, okay.
Right.
So
William, can you talk to us a little bit about the offer and pitch, and how do you?
Yeah, I have a brilliant idea. I swear to you, Douglas. Let's say Eugene walks into Douglas here, and he's telling him, "Hey, Douglas, I want to start making some money. I want to get a business plan. Help me work on my pitch deck." Douglas, how would that conversation, if you indulge us, how would that look like?
I would start with what's the big idea? Like, what's your business thesis? What problem are you trying to solve? And I give a ton of credit to Oren Klaff on this. What's changing right now? What's changing in the environment, in the landscape? Because that's what catches the prefrontal cortex. Is it moving? Is it something that's moving? It definitely engages the imagination. So that'd be one of the core things I would want to talk about, is like what is this business, and what's changing now in the landscape, and make sure that you make that clear, and why it's a valuable business plan.
Business plan. How big would this business plan need to be?
I would say 5 pages max. And that's one of the big problems most people do, is they'll spend, months drafting a 77-page. Now, I will say it is good. It is good for their own edification to do that research. But when you get to the business plan stage, 3 to 5 pages, because if you go much more than that, and
where do you do this research? At a library? At home?
Sure, internet, definitely census.gov for demographics, all kinds of.
So you got to be pretty good at the Google and at the research.
I think so. It's helpful for sure.
So they probably need a year to learn how to really navigate the internet.
I don't know. I'm also kind of one to, there's one book you need, a business plan book off the internet. Those guys have done it to death. Get one of the business plan books, go, follow what they did, and they'll kind of give you the model of what to replicate.
At what reading level is this book?
8th grade.
Is this, all right.
Yeah.
William, would that fly?
Yeah.
Not in Africa, unfortunately. Let me set a little bit of context. Hello, Douglas. Nice meeting you.
Nice to see
Lovely
you.
having you in this conversation.
Yeah.
So lean startup and that approach is very much, and business planning is an opportunity-based process. While what we use here in South Africa, I use is more of a necessity-based process. Because you have to think of the time frame that people's minds work. Like Douglas, you said, what's changing, what's shifting in the market? Most people don't see that. I once had a conversation with a television ads producer, and they were planning this ad campaign for the national lottery. And they were going to talk to people in very poor areas and go like, what would you do if you won the lottery? Now, here's the thing. If you get paid daily, you think in 24-hour basis. If you think getting paid in every week, you're thinking in 7-day blocks. If you get paid monthly, you're thinking monthly, etc., etc., etc. And she said we had to can the campaign completely and stop it because people couldn't think further than 7 days. They would cram in a whole lotto winning and spending and living in freaking 7 days. They just couldn't see further than that. So now to ask people, you know, what's shifting in the market? I don't know. I'm like this currently. I'm just trying to survive currently. And, but the research that we do is a bit different in that if you can consistently go out and make multiple offers in a day, best research ever. Because when you do that business plan, you go like, I got results and I know stuff. And that's why I fault a lot of people on trying to use online marketing, because now if I only do a nice funnel, it'll work. I like, if you don't know the people in the funnel, if you haven't spoken to them, engaged with them, have empathy with them, they're not going to buy. And you do that by doing B2B. Are you familiar with B2B, everybody?
Business to
Sure.
business.
Yeah.
No. Belly to belly.
Ah,
That's what you do. You go belly to belly. Like, hey, Daniel, how you doing? Nice. Good haircut there. Look like a sharp-shaved man. Okay. And then we start talking and we engage. And that's how you do research. That's the best research because that is absolutely data-driven. It's not based. I'm not a big fan of surveys and stuff like that because it assumes you know what questions to ask. Not that it's a tool that you cannot, but once you know what questions to ask to get bulk data, it's great there. But I like Douglas's angle, and I agree with it. You know, keep it short. It is sometimes one of the most difficult things to distill an idea. I think it's Alan Alda. He's part of a program now where they're trying to describe the most difficult scientific theories in simple terms so that a second grader or something like that can understand it. And it's difficult. You know, it's my favorite one is strategy. How many of you have met strategy consultants? And they go like, yeah, and my favorite fun thing is in the meeting, they're like, so Bob, what is a strategy? And then they go like, well, and then they flip-flopping around and like, jello, and nobody knows. And every guy gives something different. But I found a description of a strategy that my son, when I told him this at the age of 7, he said, oh, that makes sense. I'm like, dude, got that. A strategy is a specific set of actions to get a specific result consistently. It's as simple as that. Specific set of actions to get a specific result consistently. If you get the results, but it's not consistent, it's not a strategy. It was a one-hit wonder. Welcome. Hello, all the 80s music artists. That's what happened there. It's about getting that in place. And you only get through that once you engage with people and show empathy and not help them to understand, but to feel understood.
So, William, can you share with us?
Yes.
I mean, you bring up empathy a few times. Like, what would be empathy like when you explaining it to your clients, right? The people who are striving to become this micro entrepreneur within 48 hours to, you know, to get the results. So you're giving them the strategy, you're giving them means to achieve that goal. Now, the difficult part perhaps is the empathy. Like, it is not a trick or, you know, you know, it's not a trick, it's not a tactic, it's something that you cultivate over time. You know, how do you approach teaching them empathy? How do you see it in the first place? Like, what is empathy and how does it play out in the context of micro entrepreneurship?
That is a very good question, and I like that because it is a difficult concept to do in a me-centric world. And how do you get people then to understand empathy? always take it back to themselves. And when I do that experiment with them, go home and talk to somebody for 5 minutes, I will start, when last did somebody listen to you? And then people were like, I can't remember when last somebody listened to me. And I said, how did it make you feel? Doesn't feel good. I don't feel, and you start from that perspective. Always take it. You have to align it with where they are. And we do that slowly over a period of time throughout our training, to get people to always look at where the other person is coming from. But you have to start with yourself, because once you can show them how the other person feels by making them feel the feeling themselves, then they get that. And usually you take up negative things, when somebody didn't listen to you, when I was, they didn't listen to you, or somebody just calls you and tells you, here we go, you need to buy this, or they judge you in a bad sales pitch. I mean, you have to change or your life will go down to the toilet. I'm like, no, I don't have to change crap on this side. This is mine. So best way to teach empathy is to let people feel the negative emotions of not being empathic towards them. Does that make sense?
Here's
so
a big
you let
question
them, yeah.
that we've been grappling with
Yes.
the last week. Have you ever run into that individual that's just look at your background? No, even that's even has grips. A stone wall.
No.
You ever met someone
Yeah.
that they just won't let you build that empathy?
Oh,
Just-
yes.
How do you try to crack through, climb it, go around it, or just next person?
I was facilitating a team build, 25 people, and a third of the people, usually before we start, I'll walk around and go like, hey, I'm Willem, I'm the facilitator today. Great to meet you, to get some rapport with him. And a third of the people, about 12 people, no, 8 to 12 people. Okay. When I said, hi, I'm Willem, they would look me up and down, fold their arms and turn their back on me and walk away.
Oh,
Now,
way.
I go like, I turn to Malcolm, who's assisting me. I'm like, WTF, have you ever had that? And you're like, no. I said, oh, this is going to be a shit show. Let's see where this goes. And what you do there is really micro steps. So they don't want to participate. And it wasn't me. First thing that everybody has to realize, it's not you. They're simply projecting stuff onto you that
Projecting.
you have no idea. It turned out the business owner was a complete ass. I mean, he was, ass. If you looked up ass in the dictionary, his face would be there. He's not a nice person. And they just projected that onto me. So what I simply did there is, from a group context, not address them directly, but get them into little group participation, because they had their own little clique. This third of people they just went like, oh, we're not mixing everything. So the first two exercises we did, I allowed them to do it in their cliques, so they would at least engage. And then I started mixing that and then engage in the groups. And then slowly you make it so that the individual can start giving feedback. And the 4-hour session ended with high fives, tears, hugs, and massive breakthroughs.
Even the
But
Stonewall?
Stonewall, patience, just patience. The worst Stonewall I had, which I could do nothing about, was I was standing in front of an audience of 300, and this is what they did for half an hour. All. I kid you not. The guy before, 3 people before me on stage, I went like, I've never experienced this. It was the best and worst experience in my life. Luckily, at that stage, I had a friend who has a rock band. And I said, what do you do if people don't respond to your music? I said, it's the best ever, because they don't accept what you do, so you can do anything. And so in that stonewalling, it also gives you absolute freedom. Don't see it as something that really pushes you into something.
Have fun with it.
It gives you the free, have fun with it,
Be
because
graceful.
anything you do,
Oh,
they
my
go,
body shifted. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, have
okay,
fun
now
with
you
it.
go like, well, if
Damn,
you
that's
reject
good.
everything that I give you, I'm going to give you everything. So let's have fun with this. Hold my beer. Let's see where this show goes.
Now, I don't know if this was baloney. One of the best copyright things that ever caught my attention. Got so curious, I even signed up to the email. Is this guy says he was B2B sales, not very low success ratio on LinkedIn. Very often it's the case. And he just got drunk and started emailing random people and those that haven't responded to him. And he got feedback like no other. Compress his whole year into like that one night times 3, he said. And
I'd love to read those messages.
Yeah, that's why I was so curious. I want to read them. And it's just so funny and blunt. People were like, wow, that's just so funny. It's refreshing. Like, you sound like a normal person. That's kind of what you're alluding to. It's like, hey, you're being too stiff, man. You don't need an 8-page. Just go get the money first. See how that feels. And go get some more. Go get some more. Maybe you could outsource that at that point. You got to think big. You got to think more than 7 days ahead. Can you think 70 years ahead? Generational wealth. That's a tall order you're serving out there.
That's the environment that we're living in. One thing I found really works well with the youth that I work is philosophy. And I love Taoism. I'm a big fan of Taoism because it's simple. Same as Stoicism. It's a simple.
Douglas and I are big Stoics. Picture the worst case scenario.
Yeah. So what I like about Taoism is the concept of what they said. If you hold on to your ideas, you're like the strongest and biggest tree in the forest.
Yes, heard of this.
But the smallest axe is your enemy.
Oh no!
They say, be like water. Okay. If you try to block water, it just simply flows around it. It's not very hard, yet it cuts through the landscape and creates valleys and mountains.
That's how you got through that stone wall. You said you just kept at
it's just okay. There's a block. Where do I flow now? Where do I? It's that serendipity, but then again, not holding on to a predefined outcome. And it's fascinating when you see these young people. First and foremost, I only talk to customers with money. If I don't have money, I don't talk to them anymore. And I'm like, okay, a bit harsh. We can tune that. But then they go, when that person says no, and I just flow like water. And then that person says no, and I flow like water. And that's the thing is, if you want to look like a fool, attack water. You're going to look like an ass. Like, oh, bad water. Oh, it's just going to flow around you. And I think sometimes we forget to flow. I have to. And that's sometimes it. And I think, Eugene, in your dating coaching, that could have happened as well. But also with the negotiations that you teach, people apply a recipe. And then when they hit the stone wall, the recipe runs out of ideas. And you're like, oh, what now? And then I fall over. And it's be like water. Let the knowledge flow and apply as it goes in the moment.
So just a quick disclaimer. I never was a relationship coach or dating coach. That's just Daniel messing around here.
Okay. Cool.
And I totally agree with
I swear I thought you were.
But you have the shit to match that.
He's got smooth enough game he could have. He easily could have.
I mean, but in my defense, he did know that our real dynamic group pickup lingo. So he might have read a couple of books.
Some say
books. It's relationships.
Yes, it's relationships. It all boils down to relationships.
You know what? I will say, I'm a married man, and I had an awkward mock where the empathy was so good that one of the participants says, "Are you guys flirting?"
Get a room.
This woman's like 20 years my age. She loves film, and we're jiving on that. And I'm like, man, you guys put a stigma on listening and empathy.
Thank you.
It's out there. It's out there. That
actually,
stigma.
Yeah.
wow, that means I have to go say hi to people. And what if they don't like
Connect.
me? And what if I don't like them? What if we fight?
And that's the negotiation that's happening here. That's
Have
what
you?
we
Yeah.
kinda
Has anybody
started
ever
this thing.
rejected you so bad that you fell into a rut for days and had to negotiate your way out? Wow, it's very vulnerable to admit it. Tell us. Do you remember?
That's something you don't really remember.
Fair, yeah. Fair.
I can tell you the results of that. So when I speak on stages, I've had a guy, I was on stage and he stood up and said, "Fuck you."
Will Smith.
Oh,
Keep
didn't
your
have a
wife, keep my wife's name out of your mouth.
I didn't have nothing of your wife in my mouth. And sorry,
This
that was
guy
open for
literally,
that one.
the guy
Yes,
literally
that was
stands up.
Yes.
So, and my response to that was, "Wow, thank you for sharing. What makes you say that?" And then they go like, "What the fuck? He just smiled at me, and he's showing interest." And I think that comes from our rejection from girls growing up. I just sucked at that because my
We've all had
game
'em.
was pathetic. It was
I got stood up
this
at a Burger King.
meek thingy. Yeah, and it just didn't work at all.
Yeah.
So humiliation was a big part of my teenagedom. But now I just look at it and that's the result is I think show interest. If somebody really puts you down, show interest. They go like, "Oh,
Curiosity,
you're
right?
such an irritating person. Even your wife, if I was your wife, I would divorce you." Well, thank you. What makes you say that?
Yeah,
Yeah,
validation. Yeah.
And
Tell us more about yourself.
It's like judo.
You're
Yeah.
screaming at us. Tell us more.
Yeah,
It
and
is
I love
listening.
the
verbal judo right there at its core.
verbal judo. That's a title of a book.
Well,
Make a
that's
note of
actually
that.
what my old roommate in the military used to watch. He was going to be a police officer and wanted to go detective. And one day I walked in on him playing his drum set, watching verbal judo, and I'm like, "What's that about?" And he goes, "Oh, like people are like verbally attacking you, how to turn it against them." And I'm like, "Yeah, I'll never need that. I'm out." Boy, was I. This is what negotiation is about: is verbal judoing yourself and your counterpart. Take that energy and turn it into something else.
And managing the flow.
Right? Yeah.
We have to realize that, and then also managing the sales conversation that's going on in your head. That's a difficult one. Am I this? Am I that? Am I at my best? And that's not always a good thing. And also the dark side of that is when you start going self-licensing. Oh, because of this, I deserve that. No, you don't. And then we self-license ourselves into bad behaviors.
Oh, like become arrogant, become just
Yeah.
what's the word we see in our mocks sometimes? Entitled.
Ooh, I like that
Yeah.
one.
So
Frankly, I think that's a
outcome
preferred
dependency.
behavior than the opposite of it, where it's like
Yeah.
a beggar type. Like, I don't deserve it. I'm bothering you.
yeah, because sense of entitlement evokes sort of an anger. If you don't get what you desire, you're gonna get angry.
I think you
in
should.
majority of cases.
Dang it! At least you
Well,
tried.
should you or not?
This is-
Anger is a distractive energy. It could be very productive, but
See,
majority of
forget
cases it's
strategists.
destructive.
You need to be tactful. You know,
Tactful.
at the old days,
Yes.
it was a big honor to get so close to your enemy that they will let you put their arm around. And then if you were able to stab them in the back and they didn't see it coming, you were a maverick. Whoa.
Et tu brute.
Oh,
Yeah.
this guy.
yeah,
Dang.
yeah.
Empathy
Yeah.
monster.
Yeah.
It is very deadly, and it's seen like a handbag. Like, oh, you don't need what empathy is for. It's not. It's for your kids.
One thing
It's-
that reminds me of a negotiation, feeling so cocky. I always tell people, if you believe you've won, you've lost. As soon as you firmly believe that you have won, you've lost already. And I walked into a negotiation and that would give me national coverage in a newspaper. And the deal was so great in my mind that this was a formality. You know, I won already. It's simply just, and we can move on. I walked out of that meeting with 2 big fat slices of humble pie, and it was
Wow.
not the good flavor either. And it was
Jeez.
just that CEO looked at me and he took me to pieces, and I deserve everything he said to me. Absolutely, because I showed disrespect, had no empathy for him, no understanding, nothing. It was just me. And he just, biggest tool in the tree, cut me down to size, to root level. And I started growing again from that. So be careful if you think you're so good at this that you can't lose. Oh, that's going to be, you're going to have a diet of humble pie.
Another odd thing we've seen, Douglas can attest, Gene, that accommodating people, when they win the negotiation, they got the thing, they'll keep talking and start giving that stuff back and other stuff to compensate. And in Jim Camp and these negotiation books, they teach, take the money and go. If anything, you can pay it forward. You can do something else, but you got to learn how to take that money and go. Yeah, if you feel like you're winning, you might be tempted to start giving some of those winnings back, and that might not be helpful because you give an inch, they'll take a mile, right? So that takes a backbone to put that money in your pocket.
No, it does. And
Money
again,
corrupts.
No, it's an energy. Money is an amplifier.
Amplifies energy. That's what
it just makes bigger that what is already there. If you're an ass, well, you'll be a bigger ass with more money. If you're a nice person, you'll hug the world. The worst thing I don't like experiencing is bitter poor people, because everything and everybody is to blame for that.
Oh,
and that's a difficult thing, is for people to take responsibility. I found you made a comment earlier, it seems people are getting softer. And I think one of the reasons is we've removed self-responsibility. You are responsible for your results. And people hate that when I say your life, your bank statement, your financial situation, your friends, your relationships is a result of you and your thinking.
My boss gave me the bad leads. He gave me the poor clients.
Yes.
He'd tell me every year he'd give me better ones, not be getting the crap ones.
Ooh.
That's real. That's me.
Yeah. But that situation, accept the reality, accept responsibility.
I am. Thanks to Eugene.
Is it his responsibility to feed my work? No, it's my responsibility to do that.
Yeah.
But the world is shying away from responsibility. There's always somebody to blame. If you do root cause analysis, something's to blame. I'm like, no. Like I work with a group of artists, and I said, and I love this quote, a weak leader looks out the window when something goes wrong. A strong leader looks into the mirror. Because a weak leader is looking out the window to point at somebody. You, Bob, you did this. And 90% of the stuff that go wrong in your life is not your fault, but it's your responsibility.
Well said.
And I think the second step to that would be pick better teammates, better people around you. What is the old saying? Show me your 5 and I'll show you you. Show me their success, I'll show you theirs.
And a lot of people don't understand that. And then I asked them, and I found if you flip it around in a more positive sense, people really get that. So I'm tough on people. I tell them I'm not a nice guy. I'm a kind guy. Nice people tell you what you want to hear. I tell you what you need to hear. Okay. And I push people to grow beyond what they can think they can achieve in their life. And instead of telling them, if you surround yourself with idiots, you're going to be an idiot, because already they have a bunch of idiots in their life, most probably, same as I had at that age. And I said to them, how much have we grown together over the past 2 weeks? And they go like, wow, tremendously. My thinking is completely different. I said, imagine you had 5 friends like me.
Yeah, that's good.
And then they go, wow, yeah, my life, I would not be where I am today. So I found if you state it in the positive, people really get there. So maybe get them, you know, what's the one person that really changed your life for the good? And they're like, there. So imagine you had 5 friends like that, well, always in your environment. Where would your life be today? And that really strikes a chord with people, because then they can think forward.
Yeah, taking responsibility is a massive thing. I mean, acceptance and victimhood is a opposite thing. Like you mentioned before, we all fall into those pockets of guilt and shame, victimhood. Shame on you, right? I'm here, I'm not at fault here. It's your fault. So like blaming someone, shaming someone. This is one of the worst things you could do for yourself, basically, and then for the outside world. So acceptance really is acceptance and willingness is one of those states of mind that you have to cultivate, day in and day out, and especially in the environment where everyone around you is just miserable, just victim, just constantly shifting blames. And shifting blame is still a blame inside that you're trying to move away or shift to run away from this blame, and this blame is always chasing you in a sense. So taking responsibility for your own small little action and just practicing this, it's incredibly valuable for your own mental willpower fortress that you're building out there.
Because
I don't have a gratitude journal, but every day I do try to give gratitude. I think that's weird.
Yeah, I did mine before I got into the interview. Always do it before I
Guys,
start the day at the end.
If I could, I feel like this discussion would be incomplete if we didn't mention Extreme Ownership by Jocko Willink.
Everybody's been talking about that book on the
Incredible
Split the
read.
Difference page.
Yeah.
I'm on his Facebook. Yeah, he's out there.
I think it was Wayne Dyer. Wayne Dyer said, a lot of people go like, they will get what's coming to them. And I always tell people, nay, you're not taking responsibility. And Wayne Dyer said, if you have to forgive somebody, you haven't taken responsibility for a certain part of your life. And I find when I say, well, they get what's coming to them, you haven't made peace with that situation yet. You're still wishing them ill will down the line because you haven't made peace with your role in it. But I read a great relationship book the other day. I said, you know what, if you're in a relationship with a very unhealthy person, they come in pairs. You're the other one. And there's always a yin and the yang, and always think about the balance in that. And people have to see that, but we don't. Coming back to responsibility, you have to see yourself and others in you, because then you don't have an emotional charge in them, and all that is left is love. Very much John DeMartini's work, what he does that, and you go through collapses to do that. And a good case in point is when I do that leadership program. I'm one of about 20 people in the world that do a specific leadership program. And the first words that I utter, last time I worked with 100 CEOs, is, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Underneath your seat, you will find a Ziploc bag. Please proceed by switching your mobile phone off and sealing it in the bag. You can access it again in 4 hours. I give you 30 seconds. Okay. Now, that's an interesting ask. Asking an organization C-suite to go like, we're going to go incognito now for 4 hours. It's a tough one. Now, if I go there cocky, like, do this now, you're going to go now, you little children, you listen to me, they're going to rip me to pieces. If I go there meekly, please, ladies, gents, it's so nice today out here. Thank you. And let's peacefully start this. They're going to wipe the floor with me. So what I do before I start working with these level of execs, I go and see their success in me and my success in them. And I look at all the decisions I've helped people make, decisions I've helped other businesses make. And I look, oh, in total, I've created $20 billion in value with the advice and decisions that I've given. So I look at that guy, you've done $20 billion, I've done $20 billion. We're the same, we're fine. It's in a different form though. But recognizing that, and look at any bad behavior. We judge bad behavior because it's a part of ourselves which we disown. Oh, I'm not like that. No, I'm not. Oh, that hillbilly? No, I'm not like him. No, you are. Go and look at situations where you are in the form that you are and you own it. Because then you can truly connect with people. Go read up on John DeMartini's work. It's fascinating. The values factor is a great one.
Hey, but come on, let's be frank. You got to have a limit. You got to have a limit with an individual. You know, there's a whole thing done on programming, best algorithm. If you get slapped once, you know, eye for an eye, that's not always the best way. Turning the cheek the other way, nonstop, indefinitely, it's also not good. After a while, you gotta hit this person back.
Yeah, no, it's not about capitulation. It's about understanding, seeing you, really seeing you. I watched, remember Avatar, the movie?
Oh yeah.
I watched it with my son the other day, and when they greet each other, they go, "I see you," and that for me is a very interesting.
That movie has caused a real disorder to go into the psychiatrist book, psychologist book of disorders, because people feel PTSD that world doesn't exist, that we're not in sync. We don't pray before we eat an animal. Like,
okay, interesting.
Yeah, it causes a real. I mean, yeah. Imagine you just connect with your pet. Something.
Yeah,
we're missing that connection.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, see people. When you see somebody, see them. And when you judge something, ask yourself, where am I the same?
So when you run up against that because that's the big problem we're having is we're coming up against those concretes. How do we penetrate? And what you're saying is see them through that concrete as good people. And
where have I been like that? Where am I like that? And usually when I am, in what state am I? And you break through it. And sometimes it's just simple being there. Like I said, you know what? Eventually it breaks through. It should give people time. Because why are they stonewalling? Because they're not performing like you expect them to perform? Tisk. That's not very nice of you, is it? It's stonewalling from your perspective. What are they doing from their perspective? Are they truly stonewalling? Or are they not where you want them to be?
Because these people have been penetrated before. And I've seen it where one person hard, but then someone comes along and we ask, like, hey, which one got more out of you? And he goes, well, this person, number 3 or number 2. And we're all like, yeah, number 2 did get more out of you. So it's not that you don't give anything out, it's that when you approach a certain way, and we're like, what was that approach? And yeah, he said, this person was just very empathizing, understood him. And speaking of that, we gotta have respect for your time. We're 10 minutes over.
Cool. I need to go and
any final parting words for the audience? Any way to reach you preferred?
thehumanentrepreneur.org or visit my homepage, willemgous.com. Gous, you spell my surname, go US, just G-O-U-S. Always can go US. That's a good one. America, yeah. But the thing, and I want to quote John DeMartini on this one. One thing that you have to always remember is the quality of your life is determined by the quality of your questions. And never forget that.
Where are questions of quality?
Things
Thank
that
you, William, for
lead to
coming
understanding.
today.
No,
Say
thank
10
you
out
for
of
that.
10.
And imparting your knowledge.
Appreciate it, guys.
Yeah.
Always
Thank
love
you,
talking
William.
to you. Douglas, nice meeting you.
Nice to meet you.
All the best. Peace
All
and
the best.
assets, people.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
What up, guys?
Yo, 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 yo.
He was great,
That was
man.
quality, wasn't it?
He's real.
Legit.
Get the money. Get the money and worry about setting up LLC and pitch decks. Worry about that after you get the money. Right now, you got to get the money.
It's pretty much the same in Thailand, though. Like, it seems to be the
It's new
thing
over
with
here.
the second or third world countries. Yeah.
It's new over here. What? You could just do that?
What?
You sure you don't have to
You
get a
mean
license or a business permit?
make sales? What?
Business, you need a business license. You need a boss. How are you get your
No,
W-2s?
No. Yeah.
No W-2, you don't have a job. What are you talking about? Where's that W-2?
What?
Yeah, it's strange out here to hear that. Just go get the money.
Just do it.
Different world, and that's why it's beautiful, because you get another perspective, you get a permission to act. And if there are obstacles in the way of you making money, the chances that you're going to make this money are just reducing, right? And now what William is saying, like, go get the money, reduce that friction, get thing going, and then make it viable. Prove it to yourself first, and then prove it to others by applying for the business licenses and whatnot. Here, I suppose in Europe is the same. Like, you gotta register this, you gotta apply for that, you gotta go through all these hurdles to just officially announce, here I am, I'm doing this, right? And now you don't have a choice, like, because of all the hula hoops that you've gone through. You have to start implementing and start doing things that might be not very good for you or productive for you, just because of the initial idea that you started. You might have reconsidered it 20 times. Again, I'm not sure how lengthy is the processes of getting all the licenses and permissions. But yeah, I mean, like, it seems like if you want to become a real estate professional, you're gonna have all these licenses, and then you get into the market and start doing this. Like, what this? I hate this job.
I did hear
I hate dealing with this.
I did hear of a realtor that he started by renting out a place and selling a place without a license. And then he got his license. And he goes, to me, it sounds crazy to go get your license and then go try to make money. What if you don't make money? What about all that time? And in South Africa, you don't have that luxury of time.
Yeah, and there actually
I think
are
it's the other way
cases-
around.
Yeah.
I think it's the other way around. They have plenty of time and they don't know how to use it effectively. They don't exchange their time for money. Like, that's the whole premise of the micro entrepreneurship. Like, you can exchange your time for money. You have to start hustling, start doing this. And then once you get this thing going, then you can develop into a viable business. You have to exchange your skill for money first, whatever that might be. Is a skill of washing a car, or is a skill of doing some shopping for someone else and getting your $1 or $2 in so that you can feed your family. And then you build upon that. It's like William said, it's people are just shifting blame all the time. I cannot do this because of this, right? I don't feel right because of that. 10 people rejected me, therefore I cannot approach the 11th person. I don't know. That seems to be the case with third world country. Like, people don't do things because they don't allow themselves to, use their time in different way, in different manner. No.
No, probably. I've been in a first world country.
Only all your life, yeah.
Right.
Iraq and Mexico. No, Mexico's second world, isn't it?
Is it?
I have no idea. But I remember I couldn't wait to get home to like some consistent electricity, outlets throughout. Comforts,
yeah, that's true. But then you become too comfortable and you don't want to get out of your comfort zone.
And then you get fired and you cry.
Shifting blame. Gentlemen, it was a pleasure. Great conversation.
Always.
Gotta run here. And